You know something we're all tired of? It's rich and privileged celebrities donning a costume of victimhood to get some attention and relevance. And perhaps what's happening right now with Ellen DeGeneres is an example of that. Rob Schneider wasn't pulling any punches exposing this in a conversation with Megyn Kelly, and that's why it got so many tangents I want to explore. So subscribe to the channel and take a look at what we have and what he said before we dive in.
I'm seeing this week that there is an attempted comeback by somebody who did not cross one of those fateful lines of the misstepping on their sacred cows of gender or race or sexuality.
Yeah.
But she was said to be a nasty bitch, and that's Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah.
So her show got canceled after she had this testy exchange with Dakota Johnson, where something happened where Dakota said, "Oh, I had this birthday party," and Ellen said, "Well, why didn't you invite me? You didn't invite me." And she said, "No, I did invite you, Ellen. That's not what happened." And Ellen had blown her off. And then tried to play the victim on the set with her. Anyway, it led to article after article of people being like, Ellen's a bitch. Ellen is a nasty person. And all these staffers started to come out, not for nothing, but I know a guy, I know him very well, whose sister worked for her, who said, you were not allowed to make eye contact with Ellen in the halls of that show. If you saw her, this is not a nice person.
No one would have believed this if it was said back when Ellen was at the height of her television fame, and now it fits like a puzzle piece in the rest of the story around her. Ellen DeGeneres herself was somewhat at the forefront of the conversation around LGBT identification by celebrities and media figures, and it took quite a few years for her to come out and say it. But that's just a part of her career arc, because what happened back in 2019 with the slew of allegations of professional misconduct and mistreatment basically threw Ellen DeGeneres onto the sidelines of TV, from where it was very difficult to bounce back. Now that she's trying to make a comeback, perhaps she's also wanting to ride the wave of the culture war to shield the real reason that she sent her career into a downward spiral like this. The moment that Megyn described with Dakota Johnson was only the tip of the iceberg, and even that exchange revealed how difficult it was to cover up Ellen's veiled jibes despite a forced smile and a laugh track at the background. But the fact is that she's trying to be one of the few people in TV trying to bounce back into the spotlight after basically being forgotten by the new and young audience. And that's a mighty difficult task to achieve, which is perhaps why we see her play on an emotional heartstring with her audience, even in the promo for her Netflix special.
Let me see what else I can tell you about that's been going on. Oh yeah, I got kicked out of show business. Yeah, the Be Kind girl wasn't kind. That was the headline. Most women aren't raised with confidence. We're too self-conscious, which is why you rarely see a woman playing air guitar. I didn't go into this business for money. It was about healing my childhood wounds.
It all just seems a bit out of touch, doesn't it? It's not the 90s anymore, and this kind of comedy and appeal is getting more out of style with the younger audience raised with the internet. Rob and Megyn's observation here was spot on.
So she eventually got canceled, but now she's coming back. She's got a Netflix special. That's the right response.
Yeah.
She's got a Netflix special. And here's the capper. On the promo, and apparently there's now articles out about from people who have seen the preview, she plays the victim. And she says, poor me. And she actually has the nerve to say that she was run out of Hollywood. This person
with she had $100 million in her pocket.
$450 million, according to Forbes. That's a low estimate.
Yeah.
Because so now she's out there saying, I was run out of Hollywood. She's actually reportedly complaining about how hard it is for women in America with the double standards.
Look at Oprah, how hard it is for her.
Oh, she's got, like 10 houses, Ellen DeGeneres?
Michelle Obama, look how hard it is for women in America. They're hurting.
They're going to let her back in, Rob, because she's a lesbian, she's a leftist, and she didn't hit one of their sacred cows. Nastiness, that's their bread and butter.
Here's the deal. For a modern victim-obsessed left, it doesn't matter that America has made Ellen DeGeneres one of the richest and most successful TV hosts in history. What matters is how much her individual characteristics count when she finally does go out of fashion or has to stand on the sidelines of the industry for her own behavior. And it's sad it has to be that way, because her being a woman or a lesbian had never had anything to do with either her success or failure, and neither was it a hindrance when she eventually did come out. If Ellen can claim credit for her success to her own talent and hard work, as she should, then it also is worth taking responsibility when things go south. Obviously, anyone that's seen that Netflix special by her can tell better if that theme continues with her, but so far it's receiving pretty abysmal ratings and reviews, with Variety magazine even calling the special self-indulgent, and it's hard to imagine why it wouldn't be, because a large part of why it was made in the first place was to launch Ellen back into the spotlight as an attempt to reclaim the loyal audience that she lost after nearly 5 years.
I think everyone should have a chance for reconciliation. I don't think Jesus exempted anybody. And so I do, while it does, because I have been allowed back in, but I don't hold any grievance and resentment. It's very important. And I would just say for Ellen, the resentment, you have to get over resentment to whatever addiction or addictive qualities happen. To get over it, you have to deal with resentment and address it, and then otherwise you're going to fall back into the same pattern. And I think also to admit your mistakes.
Of all people on earth to be feeling sorry for herself, Ellen DeGeneres should not be on the list.
She should at least, but make a real apology and do it.
There's no apology. It's just woe is me. I was run out of Hollywood as she speaks from this grandiose stage on Netflix. Hello, you haven't been canceled if you are doing a Netflix special. She got $20 million for the one before this. I'm sure she's fine.
I'm sure she's fine.
I think Rob Schneider is the perfect person to say this. It's not just because he's a comedian himself, but also because he understands what it's like to lose a part of your audience if they're upset with your political views or your behavior, and then, more importantly, how you can bounce back from it. But right now, Ellen DeGeneres is probably not as experienced with this new territory in her career as she should have been, because remember, this culture of news and rumors from backstage spreading so fast has only become a major problem after the advent of social media, and what means stars or comedians who aren't well versed in this social media culture will struggle to understand or use it. Maybe that's what we're seeing with Ellen, and her jokes and comebacks are only sounding like a desperate attempt to be liked again.
I get it, and I have to fight this, and it is true. You never forget that even though she has $450 million, I really do, and I mean this sincerely, the fact that she had to hold back that she was a lesbian for years, and ABC told me you couldn't come out. I mean, that frustration would create an anger and a resentment that I think is understandable for people. That doesn't equate or doesn't justify any meanness or any ugliness. But I was with her, and when she was a stand-up comedian, and when they made her star in a movie where she had to kiss another guy and do this movie, which obviously wasn't being able to play herself. And I do remember being with her and feeling that resentment and going, wow, that's a much tougher road than I've had to go through.
And that's a compassionate way to look at it, and you got to have props to Rob for that. But if you're Ellen DeGeneres, that's not enough. Her comeback through Netflix isn't meant to be a one-off, but an attempt to get her foot in the door back into television. And if that fails, then she may actually have to live with that fact that 2019 was the last time she could see that kind of TV stardom again. That's a difficult thought to live with for sure, but it's one that many other hosts and comedians before her have had to understand. Let me know in the comments what you think is going to happen, because for Ellen DeGeneres, it's her career that hangs in the balance.